There's a couple different strategies we could do here to solve this equation. One method would be to find the least common multiple or the lowest common multiple of each denominator, which, if you're curious, in this case would be 6 multiplied by x plus 3. And we would multiply all four terms by this. And by doing that, we would get rid of these fractions. Now, I think what may be a simpler method would be to take the 1/2 on the left-hand side here, move it over to the right-hand side, and then combine those three fractions together, and then we can cross multiply. Let me show you what I mean. So if I subtract 1/2 from both sides of the equation, this is what we would get. And then I want to rewrite these three fractions to all have the same denominator. So it'll be x over 6 minus 3 over 6. I just got that by taking 1/2 and multiplying the numerator and denominator by 3, and minus 3 over 6. So we can write this as a single fraction now, because they all have a denominator of 6. In the numerator, we'll have x minus 3, which could be simplified to being just x minus 6. So now you might be able to see my reasoning of why I use this strategy, because now we have two equivalent fractions. We can just use cross multiplication to help us. So -3 times 6, which is -18, is going to equal x plus 3 times x minus 6. So if we expand this, we'll get x squared. Let's see here, plus 3x minus 6x. Combined, our x terms would be -3x and minus 18. Since we have a -18 on both sides of the equation here, we can cancel them out. And what we'd be left with is 0 equals x squared minus 3x. I'm just going to move up here to finish this question off. Now, if we try to factor this, we can factor out a common factor of x. So we get x multiplied by x minus 3 is equal to 0. And this means that x can equal either 0 or 3. And then we should just double check our answers, since we were dealing with fractions in the original question, that there are no non-permissible values. In other words, if we replace x with one of our answers, do we get 0 in a denominator? And here you can see we've got x plus 3 in the denominator. If we replace x with 0, we do not get 0 in the denominator, because 0 plus 3 is 3. And if we replace x with 3, we would get a denominator of 6. So that checks out, and both of these would be correct solutions. All right, that's all for this video. Thanks for visiting JD's Preparation.